Dziękuję. Oraz Kemel Falcha. It's Mr. Drawing. On what Hey friends. This is my 50th video. What are we going to do with our time tonight? Stay tuned. In the last video, told you guys we were going to talk about cloaks. It was going to be a sneak preview in the last video at the very end that we're going to talk about cloaks. How to wear a cloak, things about them. And that's what we're doing for the 50th video. I want to give you guys something that you can chew on. Something that's not just spitting out thoughts and sharing things. Something of value, something that you can take from, and you can do this right now in your home. Technically, wearing a cloak, you could also say this is how to wear or how to use a wool blanket. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. Now, in bushcraft and, survivalism and all this other nonsense, there's lots of us that enjoy the outdoors that are aware of different ways to wear a blanket. You'll have to bear with me. I'm usually stuffy and I'm a mouth breather, and I sip my tea too loud. So we're gonna show you how easy it is to wear a wool blanket. Now, there's no right way. There's many right ways. There's a couple of ways that you could do it that are not wrong, but they're inefficient. So this could be applied to your paganism. This could be applied to what you're going to wear during circle work, or even if you're going camping with your family. But why wool? If you see me looking down, I'm reading some of my notes that I took. Wool is very helpful, that it helps to create that microclimate that controls your body's core temperature. And that's what we're looking to do in situations that are where the weather is inclement, or, maybe your wool blanket's all you got. So, wool is naturally flame retardant, so that helps around, a bonfire or something of that sort. And I'm talking blankets that have to be 100% wool, not a mix. None of this 80-20 stuff, or, the 90-10 stuff. You can get by with a 90-10, but if it's a 50-50, or it's, some got a bunch of polyester in it, no. You're looking for a good quality 100% wool blanket. And not all wool blankets are created equally. A lot has to do with the type of wool, along with its weft or its thread count or how dense it is. There's a lot of things to consider. And as I'm going to light my pipe here, how do you know a wool blanket's wool? A real wool blanket, you can take some of the fibers off and burn it, and it'll burn like hair. It won't melt. If any of it singes and melts, that has synthetic fibers in it. So even say you're bumming around your local thrift store and you see the blankets in the back, and you're like, oh, I think that looks like a wool blanket. Take a couple little fuzzies off, and get your lighter, and if it goes like hair, it's a wool blanket. Okay, so what does it say here? Wool is naturally hypoallergenic. It means it's resistant to bacteria, mold, and mildew, which are known to cause reactions in some people. Wool is also known to be dust mite free, since mites like moisture. they will seek other fabrics. Dust mites can trigger asthma attacks in some people. Wool retains its warmth from 70 to 85%, even when it's soaking wet. So, yeah, it'll be heavy, but oh well. When wet, dirty, greasy, grimy, it will still perform the same. This is not true of most synthetic fabrics. Wool doesn't collect much static. Static attracts lint, dirt, and dust. Wool is very durable. Properly cared for, it'll last a long time, possibly longer than your lifespan. Wool can dye very well. Wool is very easy to sew. If you're going to be making like some sort of anorak or blanket coat, or you're going to be cutting it up for different projects, even around camp, wool is a very easy fabric to sew. Not like Polar Tech or something like that. And you can wear a blanket. You can be on the move with a blanket. You can wear a blanket in different ways. There's options with the wool blanket, but there's no options with a sleeping bag. I'm not saying sleeping bags are bad. I'm just saying each has its value. So buttons in your underwear. You will need the following: a good wool blanket. You will need a blanket pin or a brooch. This is mine. You'll need a cup of tea. Sláinte Solgut. That is raspberry hibiscus. Quite good. So, kids, we're going to be playing some show and tell. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things to show you. Sit back, buckle up, enjoy the ride, because it's going to be... Try not to make this lengthy. I noticed some of the videos recently have been curving way past that half-hour mark. I don't really want to do that to you guys. I don't like watching videos that are long. I feel anything longer than a half hour is kind of pushing it. So ultimately, I'd like videos to be around the 15, 20. Let me know, though. If you're okay with longer videos, I'll make them. But I don't have a problem making them. I could talk forever. I really can. Let's look at... No, by the way, there will be also connected to this video a link to a blog post of which I did that will show you pretty much step by step of different things I'm going to show you today, this evening, tonight, whatever time it is. So, the blog post is nice. It's not very wordy. There's lots of pictures. It's easy to scroll through, and then you learn a lot because pictures are very descriptive. I'm trying to think about where I want to start. How about the beginning? The beginning's not always great. What about the middle? Yeah, they'll be confused. If you want to practice the things that I'm going to show you and you don't have a good quality wool blanket, just grab any blanket or comforter you feel okay poking a hole through for practice. You're going to want to get comfortable in the different techniques or styles you wear these. So when it's a certain time you want to wear them, you can just throw it on. You will need a good size wool blanket. Something minimum. Yeah. One of those days. I would say something around 60, 58, 60, somewhere around there. 75, 85. The bigger the blanket, the better, because then you have more options to use it for different things. The other day, on Craigslist, I found a wonderful blanket on sale The lady didn't know what she had. Said, "Hey, can I come and get it?" She said, "Sure, $50." So I brought a very good friend with me, a good brother, and we took a good hour and a half ride to go pick up this blanket. 100% wool, super good quality, pretty much never been used, 92 by 92 inches, $50. Yeah, sold. Now, if you think that's a lot of money, look up the very good quality wool blankets that are military wool blankets. Look them up on Etsy, look them up on eBay, and you will notice that they have skyrocketed. Some of the wool blankets that used to be able to be found are no longer made because they're surplus and they became very popular and they sold out. Also, there's lots of fakes going on. There's a lot of sneaky wording people are using when selling their blankets. Words like type or style in the wording of, this is an army type blanket, this is a military style, this is, and they'll even look just like the original products. So it's very confusing. Or if you're buying something that's been used, and just be very careful. I'll walk you through that in later on in this video, hopefully, if I remember. We have we're going to start with a blanket that's probably the most common or popular blanket that you see outdoors people using, and it's the one that's most, I don't want to say forged or replicated or faked, and that would be the Italian military, the Italian army blanket. Sometimes you'll see this blanket being posted as genuine Italian army officer's blanket. And I assure you, it is not an officer's blanket. They had one for the barracks, they had a field blanket, and then there was an officer's blanket. The officer's blanket can only be found, to my knowledge, and I look a lot, in Italy. It's on the Italian eBay, but shipping is the bitch, and you're going to pay more in shipping than you will for the blanket. The blanket's already expensive enough, and if you find the other company that wants to deal with you, they want you to buy at least 6 or 7 of them to for shipping purposes, and you're looking at over $600. So, the officer's blanket is a nice warm brown color with creamy type of stripes. And the dimensions are different for the officer's blanket, and it's thicker. We will be looking at the Italian Army field blanket. The one that's used for in the barracks generally has a star on it. So that's another way to distinguish them too. And the size is different because it's for the barracks. So this is that blanket I'm talking about. This is the blanket that you see everywhere. Everybody has a version of this blanket. There's a lot of 90-10s of this blanket. Okay? You want to make sure it's 100% wool. Make sure you're getting it from somebody that's a reputable dealer if you're getting this type of blanket. Now, does it have to be a military blanket? No, definitely not. And if we're talking about paganism and you're going to be using this for a cloak, you might be getting some sort of nice plaid or check, striped, or even tartan type of fabric. That's wool, like a blanket or a throw. But you're going to want it to make sure that it's big enough for this application. I think this one is those dimensions I gave earlier. I think it's about 58 to maybe like 75. Okay. Your first option, we'll just break this down into steps. Your first option is just open the blanket right up, and you can make it, lengthwise, okay? Just stripes. I'm using this blanket because it's got stripes, so you can see what I'm talking about. So you're gonna do it lengthwise, and you're just gonna do this all the way around yourself, okay? All the way around yourself. Tuck one in, and you're gonna want to get your hand out and fold the other one over. And this is where you would get your brooch. Pay attention. This is the sharp part. I see a lot of people screwing this up. First and foremost, I see a lot of people doing this. They just bring it right to the front and then they pin it. Could you wear it this way? Of course you could. Did they wear them like that in ancient times? Probably not, and this is why. When you take this, now this is my left side. You take this, you're tucking it up to your other shoulder, okay? That's a layer over your chest, over your neck. Your chest has your heart and your lungs, and it's even over part of your stomach. So this is your core body temperature. And then the other layer comes around and over. So that's 2 layers right there. And what you do is you take the sharp part, you lift up the fabric a little bit, you poke it through. Now this is my shoulder area. Poke it through both layers of fabric. You're gonna come back out again. Sometimes you gotta finagle it a little bit. Poke it through. Make sure the pin is going that way, away from you, right? And there you go. This allows you to be, it has a layer under you and then another layer over. So that's the simplest way. Now, you can take the blanket, you can bring it close, you can tuck in, You can also take it, throw it over your shoulder. Throw that over your shoulder, and it still gives you plenty of stuff on your chest. You can still do the things you need to do. You could stalk, you can hunt, you can walk, you can take it and even belt it around you if you're doing it that way as well. So that would be like, step 1. You can do it that way. Now a different version of this would be to take it, and we're going to do it the other way now. Instead of it being this way with the length, we're going to flip it. So you'll see the stripes this way. Take it, put it over your head, okay? And what you would do is you would bring it around and around. Probably can't see. What you're doing is you're basically creating a hood, but you're bringing this fabric here, okay, around your chest, and tuck it over again, right? And you're gonna belt this. Let's see if we can go grab a belt. Of course it's all tangled. Bear with me, guys. All right. So then I'm gonna grab a belt. Doesn't matter what kind of belt you got. But this is something you want to practice because it's not a very easy thing to get used to doing. Now, I like to belt it kind of up high. And when I say up high, I mean at navel or just above navel. And I'm not going to have a hard time seeing this, but I have to move the camera for you. I will. Okay? This is going to create like a robe effect. Now, let me drop it down. Okay. Okay, look. It's belted. Now this goes all the way to my feet because of the length of the blanket. See how this is still open? What you're going to do is you're going to pin this with your brooch. You're going to pin it right around here, like under your neck, and then you're going to drop it down. See? Okay. My arms are still free and clear to do what I need to do. I got plenty of stuff. And I could put my hood up if I need to. If the weather gets bad. You know, I can put this up. I can also tuck inside if I need to. You know. You can also, as still pinned, throw it over your shoulder, right? And you could take these corners. Now anybody that knows about great kilts would know about this. You take these corners and you tuck them in, and then you create pockets. Got it? As I'm all disheveled. That is, I would say, you know, a good method number 2 for donning the wool blanket. There's a simpler way. Now, I would use this type of blanket way that I just showed you. This robe style way. If the weather is really bad and I'm not moving around too much. I'm just kind of, you know, bumming around camp. This is a nice option too. Watch. You take your blanket the way we just had it. Now, of course, you could fold it in half, but I'm not trying to do that just yet. I'm going to give it about a third. Okay? We got about a third here. Take that with this. Just like before. But because we just gave it a third, we get a little bit of a like a mantle going on. And again, under, over, and you would pin that. But this way, because it's the way it is more open and it's shorter. Okay? This also gives you 2 layers under and 2 layers on top. So this really gives you a nice warmth for, you know, most chilly nights. Plus, if it's, you know, I'll show you this exact style with one of my other blankets down there. It looks pretty neat. You can also do this as well. It's because you have this quartered, you can use this as your hood. Okay? And you just pin it. You can use it and pull it down, and you can still throw this, you know, over your shoulders if need be. I like to go under and then pin on the left. Why do I do that? Well, culturally, you would wear your fly plate on your left pinned, and you know, there's reference to Celtic tribes pinning their brooches to the left. Also, you know, like I was just mentioning, you could just take your blanket and fold it right in half. And then you have that double layer. It's going to be shorter on you, but it's going to cover your core. And that's what you're really looking to do. You know, when you wear stuff like this, I see a lot of people doing this. It's not really effective. You want to get that up, and you pin it, and that's what gives you, you know, that warmth, that survival stuff. So that's the basic ways. There's a couple other ways you can play with. Not all wool blankets are created equally, as mentioned. For instance, the blanket that I just showed you is a 5-pound blanket, but it's very dense. The weave is very tight. It is not very thick. So you would have to kind of know and judge for yourself what kind of conditions that would work best for you in. Some of this does take dirt time. you know? The wool blanket can be used as a bedroll. What's a bedroll? I'll show you. You would roll up all your stuff, you know, your tarp or your oilskin, your extra clothes, your socks. You would shove your axe in the middle, and then you hook it up, and you wear it. You wear your bedroll. I think there's like Hudson Bay type of style, and the early colonial period when there was long hunters, the people that were just on foot, and they didn't carry much, and they carried what they carried, and a lot of times they had a bedroll. This is the Italian Air Force blanket, and it's virtually impossible to find. It is one of my favorite blankets. It's not very large, but it is the warmest, and it's the softest. There's no scratchy with this. Also, there is I think that one's called the Italian Air Force officer's blanket. Then there's also the popular blue one that you see. It's got the eagle on it and whatnot. This is also an amazing blanket. It's not the largest, but it's also very thick, and it's very soft for a wool blanket. Hudson Bay blankets are great, but they're very expensive. I don't know if you want to really be bringing them out into the woods to do your bushcraft or your survival stuff or your camping stuff. But there are other options that I'm going to show you. Say you don't want to use a whole blanket, okay? Maybe you want something like a shawl or some sort of smaller cape. Maybe you're buying the wool fabric yourself right off the bolt. You found a really good source, it was affordable, or what have you. There is a way to shrink your wool on purpose. And then what you would do is after you shrink it, you can boil your wool. Boiled wool and then felt it. Once it's boiled and then felted, it is beyond dense. It is so thick, but it will help you immensely with cold, and it will help even more when it's pouring rain. Now, wool is not waterproof, but if it's really good wool, like Icelandic wool, Shetland wool, a really good merino wool, Jacob wool, you got to know your wool. If it's a really good wool and it was woven properly, which usually is, then if it's boiled and then felted, the weft, it's like it's raised, then the nap is raised. If it's pouring rain, you're not getting wet. It takes a long time for it to bleed through, and even while soaking wet, you're still going to stay extremely warm with wool. And I'm going to show you an example of a small little cape. That's just that. And you can see Now this was made by the company Irish Arms in Ireland. And this is something traditional. Notice it's variegated. Excuse me, a lot of times you'll read in the mythology, the lore, certain cloaks were variegated. What does that mean, variegated? Think tweed. Think specks. Think, different flakes of color. This is a variegated look. Now this design is not not rectangular or square. This is what you would call a half circle. And let's see if I can show you. Size-wise, okay, it's a half circle. You take this flat part, and that's the part that goes around you. And just like the other ones, it's the same procedure. You bring it around you, you tuck it under, you come over, and then you pin it. You know, so you have a layer, and then another layer over your chest, over your heart, your lungs, around your neck, over the back. You can, smart, you'll tuck your hair into it too. Or you do the whole over the head thing. And as you'll see when I back up, it is a very, very small. We're talking, this is, you know, this would be t-shirt, you know, this is just enough to come like right over your bum. You know, right over your bum. Right over your arse. This is not a giant thing. Like you could wear a longer cloak or another blanket, and then this would be over that. This is just that extra one. You know, this is small. You know, when I raise my arm up, you're going to want your measurements to fit for you, okay? I don't know what color this looks like to you guys. Yeah, it looks about, it's a little bit more green on camera than normal. It's a little bit more brown in person. But this has been boiled. It's, you know, felted. It's, the nap is raised. It's very shaggy. They did this. Irish Arms did this. They loom this. They do this by hand. So that's very heavy. Like compared to that one blanket that I showed you first, that the Italian Army blanket, that's heavier than that. If that was a 5-pound blanket, I would guess to say that's at least 7 or 8 pounds. That small one I just showed you. What else do we got on the show and tell list, kids? Okay, let's see what we got. Now, if you're going to be doing this for pagan stuff, by all means, don't limit yourself. Just make sure it's 100% wool. I mean, obviously you don't want like zigzags and polka dots and pictures of ponies. But a solid color is fine. Variegated like I showed you. Wool dyes very well. So say it's a color. Say if you score a really nice, decent blanket and it's wool and it's from the thrift store and it's pink. Go get some dye at your local craft store and dye that thing. You know, brown, green, black, purple, you know. You'll find most craft stores don't carry wool much anymore. And if they do, it's very expensive and it's not the greatest wool. It's wool for like suiting. I'm not telling you where I get my wool. Because then it'll be gone. Okay. In the last video I mentioned something of possibly you might want to look into wearing something of the Celtic reenactment style. Instead of wearing robes, maybe you're going to wear tunics and a cloak. this would be what I would wear if I'm not acting as Dury. If I'm just, a common person, or, if I was reenacting something and I'm not being Druid for reenactment purposes, I'd wear something like this. And I'll show you what I do. So it's got fringes on it. Yeah, fringes. A lot of blankets have fringes. Fringe, fringe, fringe. Fringe is a good TV show. You should watch it. That shit's amazing. So just like the other blanket, I took it like this. I did like about quarter way down, a third. Okay. Third. So this is clearly not as long as the other ones, but tuck it under. Tuck it, pin it. See if I can move this camera down. Whoa, there's a pipe there. And this fringe only goes like, right past the butt because of how I folded it. But look, it's got the fringe going that way. So I tucked it down. And yes, you can still take it. Say you're wearing it this way, you like wearing it because it's got the fringe, it's kind of neat looking for ritual or whatnot. You got it, down a little lower, but it's pinned off to the side, and maybe it starts pissing, and you're got to get back to wherever you're going. So you just undo your clip, your brooch, throw it over, and pin. Yes, this type of blanket, this size, is not going to cover you. You're not really looking for like the whole survival aspect, but I scored this blanket, I shit you not, on shopgoodwill.com. And this is let me find the tag for you guys. It was brand new. So it's Pendleton. See? And see, there's another way. You can just take your blankets, No one says it's got to be perfect, but just take it back and forth and create some pleats, right? Over the shoulder, Maybe you got your tunic on and you're just wearing your colors over your shoulder. See? So that's that. But yeah, I scored it on shopgoodwill.com. A lot of people don't know that Goodwill's got an online store that has bidding and buy now options. And I think I got this blanket for under $25. You just went there and I just typed in wool blankets. The only problem with that site is shipping is usually a lot because they base it off of weight. But yeah, I got this, total $25. And it's wool. It's, you can't see too much light through it. It's not very thick, but it's very warm. It's a little bit more scratchy. It's more of like your lap blanket or your throw blanket, and that's, I think, what it was listed as, like a throw. But, it's got great colors to it. It's got some variegation to it. It's not just a solid color. Look, there's stuff going on in there. So, there's that. All right. A couple more things, and then I'll wrap this video up. Now, save for time, and because I can't do it exactly with my camera, there's ways you can use a very large wool blanket, like the one I'm going to show you. You can use your large wool blanket as a hammock. you can use your large wool blanket as a different type of sleep system. There's a couple different ways you can sleep with just your wool blanket. But I think I would do that as another video. I really don't want to get into describing how to do them. It's something I would just rather show you guys. So the wool blanket is very versatile. If it wasn't for the weavers, what would you do? You wouldn't have a cloth that's made of wool. Okay. Gotcha. So, this is the newest of the collection. This is what I scored the other day, about an hour and a half from my house. And it is a 92 by 92. It is very big. I have it rolled up in a specific way. I was showing my son how to do a bedroll. It is big. It is heavy. It is thick. It is dense, but it is also soft. That lady did not know what she had, and that's the thing. It's buyer beware, but it's also don't make them aware of what they have, because then you're not going to get it. I could have been like, "Oh, are you sure $50? Do you want more?" She was just looking to get rid of it, and I was looking to get it. And that's the way it is. I'm not going to say, "Hey, you do realize that blanket's about a $200 to $250 blanket." She would have been like, "Okay, I'll repost it," and I'm like, "I'm not going to pay that." So, but when you have a blanket of this size, you have better options of layering, folding, different styles that you can wear, as well as, a hammock setup or a couple different types of sleep systems you can use for just wrapping it up. And when we're talking about what did the Celts wear for their cloak, we're talking about something that was significant in size. We're talking about the type of textile, the type of garb that predated what the great kilt was. Now, here is a fact most people don't know. You have the whole, it's the whole 9 yards, and they were 9 yards long. They really weren't. And I'm going to tell you why. Most people don't realize that the looms used to make that fabric during that time period were a very specific size. Now, if you have what we would use like a 60 wide or a 58 wide or even 55, generally like a 58 to a 60 wide for a bolt of fabric. If you have a 60 wide and you have 9 yards of that, I don't care if you're 6'2", 6'3", that's too much fabric. And they wouldn't have done that. The 9 yards comes from the fact that the looms were around half of the size of what the width of a bolt of fabric is. So you would have 30 odd, inches for the width. They would make that, and then it was sewn to be what it was for that double width that we would have today. So 9 yards total? No, more like X amount of yards plus X amount of yards to equal that 9 yards. Not just 9 yards long. It was this and then that. If that makes any sense. Like this is so many yards, and then that is sewn to it. So the standard amount of yards was the same. It was just this many and then that many. There has been 1 or 2 finds, and I think they were done through artistic pictures, clearly showing in the great kilt, the belted plaid, internal belt loops, where a small belt was strung through the loops, tied. So then it was wrapped and then belted over the top, thrown over the shoulder, or taken down and tucked in to make pockets, or over the head, and then pinned again. We've all seen Braveheart. We've all seen Rob Roy and Outlander. We all know what great kilts are. There's a website somewhere that clearly shows somebody who has done the reproduction work of the internal belt loops. Much easier to have, your pleats that way. And the last thing I'm going to show you is one of my newest, most favorite. I feel like I'm a little kid again, standing in front of the class playing show and tell. This is what we got. It's got deja vu. Oh no. Glitch in the system. Okay. Okie dokie. Recently just got this from Scotland. I ordered it. This is going to be part of what I was talking about before. How would a druid dress versus a druid? A modern druid generally has a certain type of appearance, but how would a traditional druid look? And there's lots of play there. There's lots of imagination. There's folk customs, and there's things out of the mythology that we can draw upon. It's not your standard white robe neo-druids wandering about stone circles. This is going to be what I would wear over the other garb that I put together. Let's see if I can get a better shot for you guys. Okay. No, this is how I would wear this. Because this isn't not looking to create like lots of warmth, because of my other layers will have that for me. This is mainly just my jacket aspect, or the cloak. Notice there's no hood. This would go here, and this would go here, and then I will pin it. See? Whoa. Well, if I can back up, kind of far away. You can see this is hanging here and this is over, but I can easily still use my hands. If I'm doing ritual work, this is, I can do what I need to do. I can do stuff, I can bend, I can do stuff, But this is my latest. I don't like when that happens. That means you gotta throw it back more and then pin it higher. And sometimes that happens. You gotta play with it a little bit. So, this is generally something that the women wear. This is ladies wear. I think they call it like a ruana. But it's basically a shawl. And there's a couple of places on Etsy that have versions of these that are really nice, that are made in Ireland. Very affordable. Different types of plaid and tweed. And I almost went with them. But this one is what I wanted, because the things I'm going to wear underneath this are going to go with this color scheme. So yeah, I mean, you could take this technically and you could pin it right here if you want, but I like the look where it's like that. So that's basically me just showing you some few things that you can do for your ritual attire, for your garb, that you can put in your toolkit, your mental toolkit, your, oh, jeez. Maybe you're going to wear a tunic. Maybe you're going to wear a tunic and a cloak. So, the cloak, the brat. How do you wear a cloak is pretty much saying, how can I wear a wool blanket? Again, there will be a blog post link connected to this. Please check that out. It's not long. There's not much reading. It's pretty short. There's lots of pictures, and some of them will go over the things that I showed you right here. This has been my 50th video. It's pretty exciting, guys. This has been like, what, a month? Maybe a month and a half, 2 months of just starting this adventure. And there's lots more to share. Thanks for tuning in, sticking around. Really appreciate it. If you got ideas for other videos, always feel free to shoot me a line, drop a comment. If you got any questions about today's video, put them down below. I'd like to, I don't know when it would happen, but I'd like to maybe see if my wife will help me do a video about showing you the bedroll. How to do a bedroll, what would you put in a bedroll, how is it carried, what kind of sleep system can you do with it, as well as how can you make a hammock out of your wool blanket. So that's that, guys. Hope you're all being well and doing well. I'm doing well. Tamigamal, Garamahaga. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this pipe, do some reading, and I'm gonna go sleep with my wife. That's from a movie. You should probably know what that's from. If you don't know what that's from, I'm not telling you. By the way, donkey balls!